When I go out and do photography, I do a lot of studies of the area that I'm going. I may do some Google Earth studies, and I want to know the time of year where the sun is actually moving. To know whether the wind's blowing too far out of south today, I have to pick a different shoreline to go work. Is there thunderstorms coming in or just past, how big they are, to allow how much lighting and how much drama there's going to be in the skies. All the wetlands, it's really home to us. It's just how we grew up, taking a boat back with my dad down into the marshlands. It's second nature to us. No different than anybody that grew up in the West in the mountains and so forth. It requires a little bit of unique talents and equipment to be able to spend time out there. They worried about bear spray, we worried about alligators and snakes. Yeah, welcome to Lake Maurepas, God's country. All right, we're lucky enough to have calm waters on this side of the lake, so we'll be able to get out there to where we want to get to. I'm out in waders most of the time when it's shallow enough to, and I use a basic tripod that's tall enough to stand 6 foot tall with me. But when I get into areas where point A is my best composition, but the water may be 7, 8, 10 feet deep, I had to modify tripods to get to that height. Adapting to my surroundings is the biggest challenge, to be able to shoot very good exposures and angles and so forth that most people wasn't shooting. That's the tree.
Oh, right there, yeah.
So they call it Charlie's Tree just because I was one of the first people to bring a few people out there. One person in particular logged their GPS to that tree as Charlie's Tree, and it just grew from there as calling it Charlie's Tree. I can actually do hip boots right here without being in waders. This is where you come to leave all the other business issues behind. Don't need much tripod here. Using right now the Pentax medium format to photograph some of the real late hour scenes and be able to enlarge them. I was fortunate enough to be able to have people asking for prints as big as 8 and 10 foot across on canvas. So I wanted to be able to fulfill that and still be happy with the print when they were finished. I had a couple of camera gears take a swim. They don't swim very well. Well, I work this area like any other area and decide whether or not I want to show some of the washed out lands behind it, or whether I just want it wide and open. It's more storytelling on a conservation issue if you get some of the backgrounds that's washing out also. Well, photography gave me a way to stay spending time with my daughters out in the woodlands and waters and so forth. We hunted together, and one of my daughters, my oldest daughter, decided that she didn't want to shoot anything anymore, but she saw books from C.C. Lockwood and Julia Sims back in the day, and she's like, I want to do that. So I'm going to come out with you, and I'm going to just take pictures. Being able to really learn and study to teach her kind of put me into it head over heels also, and began putting the gun down more for the camera. I want to photograph some of that tree over there with the light coming through the moss. I got to get on an angle to separate it from the backgrounds. See how the moss is lighting up? Yeah. Separating it from everything else. Gators are not as big a worry as most people make them out to be, because they're normally not aggressive. They only become aggressive at times when people pretty much interfered with their nest or their young ones and so forth. It's the snakes that are the biggest item to worry about. You can so easily walk up on one that if you're not watching where you're going, he sees you first. It'll make the hair stand on the back of your neck. Here comes our light. When you get a cool morning, just a little bit of haze coming off when that first sun hits it on the horizon, that's when everything really is as pretty as you can get out here in the swamp. The water's like glass. By blocking off the estuaries that were being fed by the Mississippi River when they built the levees years ago. When they decided to do that, there was no foresight into how much they would affect all of the wetlands in South Louisiana, and it's really taken a devastating toll now. Everything is dying out because they don't have the fresh water and still coming through that built it all up. Lake Maurepas, Lake Pontchartrain, we've seen the banks probably erode 20 feet in or more, and I'm just using a fair number. You go down to places like Cocodrie, I mean, there's miles of property that are no longer there. You know, we would have to drive our boats 15 to 20 minutes just to get to open water. Now we don't have to drive them 5 minutes to get to open water. So by photographing most of what I'm photographing, the beauty is there because it's washed out from all the shorelines and so forth. It gives me something else to work with. But at the same time, I know why it's there, and we're losing it. So I'm not against the industry that did all that and brought us all of the things we have, but it's finding that balance and how we solve it from